Hi, I'm Melissa from the Yarn Barn, and today let's talk about splicing your weft. So first let's talk about what is the basic slice, and then I've got a tip for you to make it less visible. So when you're weaving and you're coming to the end of your bobbin and you're going to continue with that same color, you need to splice your weft. And the typical splice is just an overlap. All right, so let's say that you are weaving along and then you've come to the end of your weft. So this last little bit can make it not all the way to the end. It's going to peter out. So the first tip that I have is put the splice where you overlap not in the center. Now, this stripe being the same color as the weft, maybe you could kind of hide the splice here, but this is a pretty narrow stripe. So my suggestion would be to take the splice over to the side. And this doesn't get quite far enough to do it here, so we're gonna splice over here. So we're just gonna trim off some of the weft and then pack that down. The basic splice is that you just overlap it a little bit with the new yarn, beat it, and then continue weaving. Now, as you can see, right here, you've got a space where there are two strands, one on top of each other, making this extra bulky. So, not awful, but visible. If this were a fabric that had some very textured yarns in it, maybe this would never show. Or if you were particularly interested in a rustic look, maybe that would be something you would actually want. But for this project, I don't want that. So let's do something that's a little bit more refined. So first, we're gonna take this out and go back to what we were just ending with. And this yarn has 3 plies, and you can do the same technique with 2 plies or 4 plies. But what you're doing is unplying the yarn so that you've got the individual strands that make up the yarn here. And you're going to cut them at 3 different lengths. So this one I'm cutting down here. This one I'm cutting here. And then I'm leaving the other one long. So it's kind of tapering. You've got 3 plies here, 2 plies here, and 1 ply here. And then I take the new yarn that I'm splicing in, and I do the exact same thing. So I unply it, I cut one short, I cut the other one kind of medium, and I leave the other one long. So this is tapered also, and when you overlap them, you can see everything kind of lines up. So we had 2 plies here plus 1 ply here, so that's 3 plies. We had 1 ply here plus 2 plies here, so that's 3 plies. And then we go off into 3 plies again. So it's kind of 3 plies all the way across. So we're gonna tuck this in. Beat it, and then put the new yarn in, beat it, and you can see it's much less visible. And don't feel like you have to get out the ruler and measure it. This is kind of an approximation, but even close enough is actually pretty good for this. So it's fast little improvement, but I think it does make a big difference in the final look of the fabric. All right, so I hope that that will help you have better looking finished fabrics.